Well, good morning, everybody.
Good morning.
We are still in Genesis.
I'll be for a while.
Yeah, we'll be for a while. Yeah, there's 50 chapters in this thing. One of the longer books, but very informative. And if you don't understand Genesis, you're lost the rest of the way. Okay. So what did we talk about last time? Anybody remember? Yeah, Tower of Babel. See, I didn't remember.
Didn't really.
Yeah, I got so many irons in the fire right now. I can't remember what I'm doing and when. So yeah, Tower of Babel. What did we learn about Babel? Why did it happen? What happened there and why? Anybody remember?
And we're going to build a tower to heaven. God scattered them. And he jumbled up all their languages.
Yes. So they were going to build this tower to heaven. Most people think it was like a ziggurat, which is a pyramid with the top cut off. And that was used to worship gods, not necessarily the God, but gods. And so they were already starting to turn the same direction that the people before the flood had turned, going away from God. And they were united. And so God did something. What did he do with the language? He confused the languages. There we are. Made up different languages. I cannot speak today, so I got Babel going on my head.
It also hints at like sinning through pride as well.
Yes, and it was pride that really kind of united them because they wanted to do this so that other people in future generations would know who they were and how great they were. And so when the languages were confused, it really tested how unified they were. I mean, if they were really unified, these were smart people. Remember, they knew how to do bricks. They knew how to build things. So these were very smart people. All they had to do is sit there and figure out, okay, point to this. You say your word, I'll say my word, and we can figure out what you're saying and eventually get interpretations. They didn't do that. In their pride, they believed that their language was the best language and everybody else was just babbling. It's babbling, okay? So, what?
Scattered.
Scattered. So that makes the people scatter. God knew exactly where to hit them, didn't he? And that was God's whole point, to scatter them, to keep them from falling in the same way that the people prior to the flood had done. All right. And so we got through the Tower of Babel and we got up to this chapter 11, verse 10. And once again, we're going to have this genealogy. It's going to take us from Shem to Abram. So remember, when Moses, excuse me, yeah, when Moses' voice starts going, he got a drink of water too. So when Moses puts a genealogy in there, it's usually to get you from point A, this person, to the next person he's going to talk about. And that's what he's doing here in chapter 11, starting in verse 10. This is the account of Shem's family line. Now, we already had Shem's family line earlier up in chapter 10, verses 22 to 30, or 31, sorry. But he's going to go through it again. So 2 years after the flood, when Shem was 100 years old, so he was around 98 when the flood hit. Anybody remember how old Noah was when the flood?
600.
Yeah, 630 or
How much?
600 years old when the floodwaters came.
700?
6.
600. Okay, I was thinking 6. Do I hear 7? 7, 7?
Going
once.
I thought you told Noah I was going to limit the days to 120, which is why I was.
Oh. That limiting of days was years is from the time I told you this until the time of the flood, 120 years. Otherwise, the rest of this doesn't make sense. Yeah. So 2 years after the flood, Shem was 100 years old, or 98 when the flood hit. Noah was 600. So Shem is 100 years old, 2 years after the flood. He became the father of Arphaxad. Okay. So did he fax Arphaxad or not? Yeah, my brain is just going about in all these different directions right now. Who knows what's going to come out? We may have to just destroy this recording. So he has Arphaxad. After he became the father of Arphaxad, Shem lived 500 years and had other sons and daughters. So he lived to be 600 years old. That's plenty of years as far as I'm concerned. When Arphaxad had lived 35 years, he became the father of Shelah. And after he became the father of Shelah, Arphaxad lived 403 years and had other sons and daughters. When Shelah had lived 30 years, he became the father of Eber. And after he became the father of Eber, Shelah lived 430 years and had other sons and daughters. So they're not listing all these sons. They're just listing the primary ones, okay? And there are daughters in there too that are not named. When Eber had lived 34 years, he became the father of Peleg, not Pegleg. That would have been the pirate. Peleg. And after he became the father of Peleg, Eber lived 430 years and had other sons and daughters. Now we have seen Peleg before in chapter 10, verse 25, when Moses is giving the sons of Shem, the descendants of Shem before. And it says, one was named Peleg because in his time the earth was divided. So it is thought, because of this little phrase there, at this time the earth was divided, that Peleg lived during the time of the Tower of Babel, because that's when the earth was divided. Some people think, oh, well, that's when the continents split up. No, it's probably when the people split up into different places. So Peleg puts us into a time era of Babel. And I lost my place. There we are. 18. Right. Yeah, Eber lived 430 years and had other sons and daughters. When Peleg had lived 30 years, he became father of Reu. And after he became the father of Reu, Peleg lived 209 years and had other sons and daughters. You know something different about this genealogy as opposed to other genealogies we've read?
And then he died.
And then he died. That's missing, isn't it? Instead, it's just saying he had other sons and daughters. It is a hopeful thing. There's somebody to come behind him to live on after them, instead of, and he died, and he died, and he died. When Serug had lived 30 years, he became the father of Nahor. And after he became the father of Nahor, Serug lived 200 years and had other sons and daughters. So now we're getting up into Nahor. We're getting closer to Abram, but we're not quite there yet. Verse 24. When Nahor had lived 29 years, he became the father of Terah. And after he became the father of Terah, Nahor lived 119 years and had other sons and daughters. So Nahor is Terah's father. After, after Terah had lived 70 years, he became the father of Abram, Nahor, and Haran. So Terah has 3 children. They're probably not, it's another one of these situations where they're not triplets, but starting at 70, he starts having children, Abram, Nahor, and Haran. Okay. And I find it interesting that he did name one of his children after his father, Nahor. We are not told which one is the oldest. Could have been Nahor, because you would think that he would choose that first. But Abram's listed. However, Abram may be listed first because he is going to be the primary focus of everything. Okay?
So,
Yeah.
any particular reason why
at the beginning of this, they were living 650, 750 years. By the time we got down to these guys, third generation, they're like 200 years and they're out.
Crime? No. Violent crime went up. Uh, just as you get more population, you're going to have more diseases, things like that. And God may have sped up the aging process a little bit, start speeding that up. So,
Phil, also, I wanted to point out, I listened to a study on this, and Jews do believe Abram was the oldest,
mhm.
but they want you to catch a point here where Milcah should have been his wife, but instead he chose Sarai.
Sarai.
And so then you're supposed to like piece that together. Why?
I don't know why you have to piece that together.
And
I didn't know why Milka was even said, unless somebody knew something about her we don't know. I don't know.
well, the barren thing.
Yeah. I was fine until I started speaking.
Genesis is hard.
Yes, it is. Because we can't go back and ask the people, what were you thinking? Okay, so Terah is the father of Abram, Nahor, and Haran. Verse 27, chapter 11, verse 27. This is the account of Terah's family line. So now he's kind of slipped into, we're still doing Shem's line, but now he's focusing on Terah. Terah became the father of Abram, Nahor, and Haran Haran became the father of Lot. That's going to be important later. While his father Terah was still alive, Haran died in Ur of the Chaldeans, in the land of his birth. So Haran, who is Lot's father, dies in Ur of the Chaldees. That's where they are living. Now, Ur of the Chaldees is, I'm showing you a map later, but it is in modern day Iraq. It's kind of in between Tigris and Euphrates, close to the Persian Gulf. Okay. And they do have excavations there. Done a lot of archaeology. I used to have a little DVD of the archaeology that they had done there. They had uncovered a ziggurat and all kinds of stuff, burial chambers, etc. And in one of those chambers they found what I have an example of over there that I never can remember. It's a thing that goes on top of on front of the harp. I cannot get ark out of my mind, and I know it's not a part of the ark, but this face thing, and it's beautiful. It's got this lazuli lapis, whatever, blue part, and this gold, and it's a bull. It's beautiful. So they had quite the artists there, and that I think was found in one of the burial chambers. So he died in Ur of the Chaldeans while they were still living there. Abram, in verse 29, Abram and Nahor both married. They didn't marry each other. Do not get that confused. The name of Abram's wife was Sarai. The name of Nahor's wife was Milcah. She was the daughter of Haran. So he married his niece. All right, yeah, married his niece. The father of both Milcah and Iscah. Now Sarai was childless because she was not able to conceive. And that is a very important point to understand as we move forward in the story. Okay. Sarai could not conceive, and in that culture, that was seen as she was being cursed by God. And in fact, it could be that Abram was seen as being cursed by God because he could not have children by Sarai. Verse 31. Terah took his son Abram, his grandson Lot, Terah took his son Abram, his grandson Lot, son of Haran, and his daughter-in-law Sarai, the wife of his son Abram, and together they set out from Ur of the Chaldeans to go to Canaan. But when they came to Haran, they settled there. All right. Anybody notice something interesting, if you have the NIV, about Haran and Haran? The son's name, Haran, is spelled with one R. The city is spelled with two R's. Okay. Other translations keep it as one R both ways, but it is two separate words in the Hebrew. So while they may have named the city after Haran, the son, or had influence to rename it, I don't think it's not exactly the same as the son's name. So Terah moved the whole family from Ur toward Canaan. This is something that used to confuse me. Still confuse me a little. But I would hear preachers talk about, okay, so Abram was called out of Ur of the Chaldeans. So I always assumed this was the call, and Abram only went part way and didn't go all the way the first time. That's not true. God has nothing to do with this one. This is just Terah moving his family in from Ur of the Chaldees toward Canaan. But they stopped at Haran. They didn't go all the way north of Canaan. So let me see if I can show you.
That's interesting where God's going to call heaven in.
Yes.
But they're
It's
like,
like-
we're going to go that way.
Thank you for getting there halfway.
Yeah, it's like, you almost had it.
Yeah. So Ur is right here. And everybody see the little,
Yep.
see the bouncing dot? Breathe the canvas. So Ur is right down here. This is Iraq, Persian Gulf is right down here. So you have the Tigris and the Euphrates rivers. So what they did, they went from Ur down here, probably followed the river up, and then went on up into this spike here, into Haran, which is right there. Okay, and they stopped. They were going to go all the way down here, but apparently the camels wore out and they just stayed there. Okay, so that gives you an idea of how they were traveling and where they were traveling. So one son is dead, two sons are with him right now in Haran. Chapter 12. No, well, I ought to finish chapter 11 first, right? Verse 32, Terah lived 205 years and he died in Haran. He died. He's done. Yeah, it is interesting that he goes back to, he died. I guess he felt the need to explain why he's not showing up anymore in the story. Chapter 12, verse 1, the Lord had said to Abram, go from your country, your people, and your father's household to the land I will show you. So he is in Haran at this point, and God says, go from your country, which his country now is Haran, up there in Padan Aram. Don't go, never mind. I was going to do some Padan Aram, never mind. It's not banana.
Long and day.
Yes, I can dance. So your people and your father's house. His father's house was in Haran now. It is not Ur of the Chaldeans. It's not in Ur. His father's house is in Haran. And to the household, to the land I will show you. And you think, oh, well, he just moved there. It's no big deal. They had been there for quite a while. They had accumulated a lot of wealth. They were influential within the community, especially if the city was named after his brother. So he was leaving something there. His father had passed away. That is where his father's tomb was. So leaving that would be hard for Abram. Something else we need to know. Abram may have worshiped God instead of the false gods of Ur. They know from archaeology that in Ur, they worshipped Nana, not banana, Nana, the moon goddess. Okay, and there were probably others, but she was the goddess of Ur. However, when God speaks to Abram, it's not like Moses, which God are you? He knows God already. So this was not a surprise to him to speak to God. He must have already been worshiping God. And so moved from Haran, where he was rich and had buried his father. That's the call God is giving to Abram now. So, verse 2 and 3, the promise. God is speaking, I will make you into a great nation, and I will bless you. I will make your name great, and you will be a blessing. I will bless those who bless you, and whoever curses you, I will curse. And all peoples on earth will be blessed through you. What is the one word that keeps popping up in there? Blessed. Blessed. All right. What God is doing here is he is advancing his plan. Remember, way back in Genesis 3:16, where God said, I'm going to crush your head, you're going to bruise his heel. There, I have a plan to undo what Satan did. God is starting the plan right here with Abram. There's now going to be hope for all. See, I don't wear this just for the fun of it. Okay. There's going to be hope for all. All right. He says, I will make you into a great nation. What do you need to be a great nation? People. Huh?
People in life.
People and land.
And
Okay.
it helps.
Yes.
We got God.
And at that time, how would you get people? Procreate. You would have to have children.
How's that work, Phil?
Talk to your wife about that. You have what? 3 kids? 2 kids?
2,
2? Yeah. Well, if you don't know this by now, you're in trouble.
Somebody teach that to us. We can't.
And-
That's okay.
And what do we learn about Sarai? She's barren. So Abram hears this, I will make you into a great nation. How? How's that going to work? I don't understand. Am I going to adopt a bunch of people? And that misunderstanding is going to cause problems later. But I will bless you.
Well,
Now,
I don't retain very well. Is there any talk of worshiping God beyond Noah up to this point?
no, there is not.
So maybe Abram was one who had learned the lessons that had been passed down, at least from
Mhm.
Noah,
Yeah.
or had heeded them.
Yes. And remember, we are talking line of Shem, which was supposedly one of the more godly lines. And yeah, there is no mention of worshiping God from Noah all the way to Abram. Although we know other people were worshiping God, we'll meet them later. Okay. So God is going to bless Noah. It seems like Noah is kind of cursed by not having children, but then again, he's rich. So Abram. Well, Noah, Abram, they're all the same.
Get down the line.
I really should have stayed in bed this morning.
We're on today.
Okay, keep me
I'm
going,
gonna
guys.
set you up with a little music box to play clips whenever needed.
There you go. So Abram and Sarai seemed like they were cursed because they couldn't have children. And at the same time, though, he was rich. So 6 won't have done that. Could have been. But God is going to bless him. So it's not in this blessing. We always think, oh, God's going to make him rich. He was already rich. God is going to bless him with children. I will make your name great and you will be a blessing. Isn't that great? So God is going to make his name great. In other words, there's going to be a long line of people that will know who he is, not just around him, but later on. What did the people of Babel want to do?
Make a name.
Make a name for themselves. God is going to make a name for Abram. And you will be a blessing. Not I will bless you, but you will be a blessing to other people. Why? Because he is going to have this relationship with God, and he's going to share that relationship with others. I will bless those who bless you, and whoever curses you, I will curse. So God is saying, I'm going to protect you. All right. All peoples on earth will be blessed through you. And everybody immediately goes to Jesus. That's not what God is speaking of here. Ultimately, it is. But that's not what God is speaking of. God is saying, I'm going to make you a great nation. This nation is going to bless all the peoples of the world because they will know me and they will share with others who I am. Okay. And we'll see that here in a little bit. This family will be the standard bearers of how to properly experience God. That was the plan. It didn't really come out that way, but that was the plan. These people were to show other people how to live the way God designed us to live. Now, we might ask, why Abram? Why not somebody else? Why not somebody that's already living in Canaan? Why Abram? I don't know. Best guess is he trusted and loved God. He already knew God, so he trusted God. And he loved his family. We're going to see how much Abram loves his family. It's actually going to cause issues later on and bring about a test of Abram. So how he loved his family. He loved his family very, very much. So why Abram? We don't know, but these are two qualifications that he has that God could use in him. So God was enacting his plan to show the world what it's like when people live the way they were designed to live, when they embrace God's love for them. And the family of Abram were going to be placed, they're going to be placed in an area right here, okay? And I should have used the other map for this because this is a very important piece of land. Let's do this. All right, there it is. So it's a very important piece of land. What you have to this side, to the west side, west. I have a terrible time with east and west. I could do north and south all day. East and west, just forget it. To the west here is Africa, the continent of Africa. To the east is Asia. To the north is Europe. 3 continents come together right there, this one little piece of land. And you know what? All the trade routes ran through this land. So God is putting them there for a reason. As these people come in and do trade with Israel or pass through to do trade with others, Israel is to be telling them, hey, here's about the true God. Here's how to live. Here's what the benefits of living with the true God. That was their mission, to tell others about God. Okay, and God put them in the prime position to actually reach the entire world. All the nations of the earth will be blessed because they will know about the true God through you. Okay. Questions so far? All right, verse 4. So Abram went as the Lord had told him, and Lot went with him. Abram was 75 years old when he set out from Haran. He took his wife Sarai, his nephew Lot, all the possessions they had accumulated, and the people they had acquired in Haran, and they set out for the land of Canaan, and they arrived there. So Abram leaves Haran and moves south to Canaan. He obeys God. No questions asked, just goes on down. Verse 6, Abram traveled through the land as far as the site of the great tree of Morah at Shechem. At that time, the Canaanites were in the land. So Abram walks the length of the land. I do this. So he walks the length of the land. So he starts up. Here we go. Here near the Sea of Galilee, and goes down into the Negev, which is just west of the Dead Sea. Okay, right in here, close to Sodom. Probably went all the way down to Kadesh. Okay, so he walks the land. The significance of that is at that time, when you were going to buy a plot of land or inherit a plot of land, you would walk through that land, setting out it, seeing what it is, setting out its boundaries. Okay. I think real estate people may still do that for farms. You have to walk the land and show them what exactly they're getting. That's what Abram's doing. He believes God is going to give him this land. So he has gone down and walked the length of the land. Now, this is a bold belief. Why? Because we just read the Canaanites are still in there. He is one man with a bunch of servants. One man. How is he going to take out all these Canaanites and win the day and take over this land? And yet he still believed God is going to give that land. Verse 7.
Shechem is.
What?
Do we know where Shechem is? The tree of
Right.
Moreh, that's
Right.
Shechem?
Uh,
Oh, there it is. Okay, just north of Bethel.
yeah, Shechem's right here. Bethel is there. Verse 7. The Lord appeared to Abram and said, to your offspring I will give this land. So he built an altar there to the Lord who had appeared to him. What's wrong with that verse? Who is God going to give the land to?
His descendants.
His descendants. Abram doesn't get squat. It's his descendants who will get the land. Once again, Abram is a family man. He loves his family. He doesn't have any descendants. He doesn't know how he's going to get descendants. But if he had descendants, yes, God, go ahead and give them the land.
But he didn't.
Didn't question it. Nope. He knows it's going to happen. And later on, Abram's going to try and make it happen the wrong way. But he believes God is going to give the land to descendants. So what does he do? He builds an altar and worships God. Okay. Does sacrifices to God. Yes. Yeah, true. It's, yeah, it probably is a good thing that he didn't have children. Otherwise, he'd have to send there and say, okay, Joe, you get this part. Jacob, you get this part. You, I don't like, just forget it. Yeah, he messes it up later. All right, so verse 8. From there, he went on toward the hills east of Bethel and pitched his tent with Bethel on the west and Ai on the east. There he built an altar to the Lord and called on the name of the Lord. Then Abram set out and continued toward the Negev. So he went to Bethel, correct? Right there. Ai, Bethel on the west, Ai to the east. Well, Jericho's right there. Ai is north of, I'm sorry, Bethel is right there. Jericho is right there. Ai is just north of Jericho. So somewhere in this little area here is where he landed. All right. There is a good website, ironically called Expedition Bible, not this Expedition Bible, but the person who does it is an archaeologist and a pastor, and he has found where this site probably was. But he relates it to Jacob's ladder because Jacob goes to the same spot Abraham went to here, or Abram went to here. So we can kind of figure out where exactly that was, where Abram builds an altar and worships God. And then he goes on down into the Negev which is once again down here on the west side of the Salt of the Dead Sea, near Kadesh, Hebron, Sodom, those areas. Okay. So here's the Dead Sea going down to Hebron, Sodom, and here's where he would be. Verse 10. Now there was a famine in the land, and Abram went down to Egypt to live there for a while because the famine was severe. As he was about to enter Egypt, he said to his wife Sarai, I know what a beautiful woman you are. When the Egyptians see you, they will say, this is his wife. Then they will kill me, but will let you live. Say you are my sister, so that I will be treated well for your sake, and my life will be spared because of you. Trying to remember how old Sarai would have been at this time. If he was 75 when he came out, she would have been 65. So we're talking about a 70-year-old woman here being so beautiful, they're just going to be entranced with her. But remember, they're living until a much older age, so they
don't age fast.
80 may have been, 70 may have been, the new 30 or the old 30. So Sarai is very beautiful. Now, what did God just promise Abram? What?
Everything.
Everything. Descendants. And yet he thinks if he goes down to Egypt and they're going to kill him, does he not believe that God will keep him alive to have descendants? See, even these people that we hold up as these great bastions of faith, they still have weakness in faith once in a while. So when we have weakness in faith, you're in good company. Okay.
It's kind of encouraging.
What?
It's kind of encouraging.
Kind of encouraging, isn't it? That's one thing I really like about the Bible. It doesn't gloss over anything. It presents people with their warts and all. That way, it relates to us. So, he's going to go to Egypt because there's a famine. These stupid famines keep coming up. You would think a flood would have solved that, but the famine comes in play here, and it will come in play several other times, getting the family in trouble. He's afraid they'll kill him because of Sarai. She's so beautiful, they'll kill him so that they can take her as a wife. So he says, Sarai, I want you to tell him you're my sister. That was not a complete lie. She was his half sister. She was Abram's father had another wife who had Sarai. Okay, so same father, different mothers. And we find that out in chapter 20, verse 12. Now, once again, faith grows as we continue to walk with God. Face it, Abram may have had some exchange with God, but this is brand new to him. This is a new walk for him. And so he's going to have to grow into this faith as he goes along. Verse 14. When Abram came to Egypt, the Egyptians saw that Sarai was a very beautiful woman. And when Pharaoh's officials saw her, they praised her to Pharaoh, and she was taken into his palace. He treated Abram well for her sake, and Abram acquired sheep and cattle, male and female donkeys, male and female servants, and camels. Okay, so what's going on here is they think that Abram is Sarai's brother. That's it. He's not married to her. It's just a brother. But he is the nearest male relative of Sarai, as far as they know. So if you want to marry someone, you send a dowry to the nearest male relative. That's what all this sheep and goats and camels and servants is about. Pharaoh is giving a dowry to Abram for Sarai. And at that point, Abram just said, no, we can't do that. Wave him off. But didn't do it. He just took the money and ran. Literally, we'll see. Verse 17. But the Lord inflicted serious diseases on Pharaoh and his household because of Abram's wife, Sarai. God stops everything, full stop. He puts some disease in there that makes them not be able to do stuff. There are diseases. And Pharaoh tries to figure out what's going on, and somehow he figures out, hey, it has to do with Sarai. So Pharaoh summoned Abram. What have you done to me? He said. Why didn't you tell me she was your wife? Why did you say she is my sister so that I took her to be my wife? Now then, here's your wife. Take her and go. Isn't it interesting that the man of God is getting berated by somebody who doesn't believe in God?
No,
It's also interesting that Pharaoh, as you go forward, is very reasonable.
Yeah.
Doesn't just execute them on the spot.
Yes. He could have gone ahead and killed Abram and said, okay, now we're good, and I can get all my stuff back, and I can have his wife. No, he was very reasonable. Of course, at this point, he knows some God is cursing him because of Sarai. So keeping hold of her is not an option. He's got to get rid of her. So Pharaoh's just absolutely furious with Abram. Verse 20, then Pharaoh gave orders about Abram to his men, and they sent him on his way and his wife and everything he had. So Abram doesn't just get kicked out of a store or a bar. He gets kicked out in the entire country. Pharaoh says, you get out of here. You guys make sure he gets out. But notice, he kept the dowry. He didn't give the dowry back to Pharaoh. I think Pharaoh said, just keep it. I don't care. That's your right of passage. Get out of here. I don't want this anymore.
Maybe he's thinking it's part of the curse. If he took it back, it could have made his life.
That's a good thought. Yeah.
Well, apparently he must have feared the Lord somehow too.
He feared
Yeah.
a God.
Abraham.
He got Abram's God. And knew his gods weren't helping him out any with him. Something a future Pharaoh should have understood. So Abram leaves and goes back to the land. Chapter 13. So Abram wanders back in. So Abram went up from Egypt to the Negev with his wife and everything he had. So the Negev, once again, is up here, crossing the Dead Sea to the west, somewhere around Hebron, usually. So he's back up in there. And Lot went with him. Now Abram remember, Lot is the nephew. Abram had become very wealthy in livestock and silver and gold, mainly because he keeps selling his wife off. From the Negev, he went from place to place until he came to Bethel, to the place between Bethel and Ai, where his tent had been earlier and where he'd first built an altar. There Abram called on the name of the Lord. So after this fiasco, he goes back up to between Bethel and Ai. Oh, there it is. Bethel and Ai, where he started out. There's an altar there that he built, and he goes ahead and sacrifices to God. Maybe he needed spiritual renewal after he figured out how badly he had messed up in Egypt, how little faith he had in God with his actions in Egypt. So he goes back and he does a sacrifice to God. Verse 5. And now we get into the soap opera. Now Lot, who was moving about with Abram, also had flocks and herds and tents, but the land could not support them while they stayed together, for their possessions were so great that they were not able to stay together. And quarreling arose between Abram's herders and Lot's. The Canaanites and Perizzites were also living in the land at that time. So there is not that much farmland or pasture land in Israel. That's limited. And if you have cattle and sheep, that causes a problem, because cattle need taller grass to feed on. Sheep will eat it down way beyond that point, okay, almost to the ground. So you have to be careful how you do this. And you have all this livestock from Abram and Lot. Lot was also rich. You throw into that there are Canaanites and Perizzites living there too, who also want the land. And now you have all these people trying to fight over this bit of land to be able to hold their livestock. Verse 8. So Abram said to Lot, let's not have any quarreling between you and me, or between your herders and mine, for we are close relatives. Is not the whole land before you? Let's part company. If you go to the left, I'll go to the right. You go to the right, I'll go to the left. So Abram is saying, you take what you want, then I'll take what's left. Now, I don't think he was being immodest. I think he truly loved Lot enough that he wanted to let Lot have the best. And he would just make do with whatever else he had. Plus, God already said he was going to bless Abram, so maybe that's ace up his sleeve. Verse 10. So Lot looked around and saw that the whole plain of the Jordan towards Zoar was well watered, like the garden of the Lord, like the land of Egypt. Like the land of Egypt. Why would that be in there, do you think?
Goshen.
Goshen. Where were these people that Moses is talking to had just come from Egypt? They could understand, wow, that was a very lush land. Because remember, they have not seen Canaan yet. 12 of them did, but the rest of them had not seen Canaan yet. And so God is, when Moses is telling them, hey, this is what Canaan is like. It's like Egypt that you left, only better. And I saw that question mark in your face, David, when I said 12 had already seen it. I am assuming that the spies had already been in and come out, and Moses is writing this while they're wandering in the wilderness for 40 years. This was before the Lord destroyed Sodom and Gomorrah. It went downhill after that, and property values just tanked. Okay. Verse 11. So Lot chose for himself the whole plain of the Jordan and set out towards the east. The two men parted company. So Lot said, hey, this is the best land. I'm going to take it for myself. Even though it's towards Sodom, which we saw on the map is the southern part of the Dead Sea area. Verse 12. Abram lived among the cities, Abram lived in the land of Canaan, while Lot lived among the cities of the plain and pitched his tents near Sodom. A little bit of foreshadowing there. He is near Sodom. Now the people of Sodom were wicked and were sinning greatly against the Lord. Moses will get back to that later. But that is just a clue. Something bad is going to happen to Lot. So Lot chooses his land. He goes down. He lives among the cities near Sodom. He's not in the cities. He is among them because of all the animals he has, livestock. But he will soon, we'll see, go into the cities. Now, verse 14. The Lord said to Abram after Lot had parted from him, look around from where you are to the north and the south, to the east and west. All the land that you see I will give to you and your offspring forever. Okay, so what land did God give to Abram?
Israel.
Yeah,
Canaan.
Canaan. He gave all of Canaan to Abram. That includes what Lot just decided he wanted. Because face it, he went towards the south. And one of the places God's giving Abram is to the south. Look north, look east, look west, look south. Look all around. You get all of it, even this stuff that Lot took. And Abram's probably going, wait, that means Lot's not going to end up with anything. What's going to happen? We'll find out what happens later on.
Well, can you show what the borders of Canaan are again, roughly?
Yep. So the borders of Canaan basically are, there we go. So the Sea of Galilee's up here, just north of the Sea of Galilee, down just to the south here in Kadesh,
And then
south of the Dead Sea,
and how far to the east?
to the Jordan, usually.
That wouldn't have included Moab or.
No, at that time, no. Now later it will because the tribes take it, but it is basically just the Jordan, that area.
Thank you.
Yeah. That's why I have these maps up here. It helps to visualize what exactly we're talking about. So verse 16, I will make your offspring like the dust of the earth, so that if anyone could count the dust, then your offspring could be counted. And that makes me think he needs a Swiffer. Let's get rid of him. Go, walk through the length and breadth of the land, for I am giving it to you. Here we go again. He's going to walk through the length and breadth of the land. Once again, I'm giving it to you. This is what you're going to possess. So walk around the borders of what you're going to possess. And you're going to have offspring like dust of the earth. But I don't have any kids, and Sarah is barren. What is this, God? And this does come up later on, chapter 15. So Abram went to live near the trees of Mamre at Hebron, where he pitched his tents. There he built an altar to the Lord. So Abram pitches his tent again and builds an altar. He is going to Hebron, which is right in here, okay, just west of the Dead Sea. He is in what is called the Negev. All right. So that is where we will leave these guys now. So it is easier to see where God is leading when you know where God has been. And it's a lot of fun to read chapters like this, talking about Egypt and Pharaoh and Sodom and Gomorrah, when you know what's coming. Okay. All right. Thank you all very much.